Welcome everyone to our weekly Facebook live show, Life Buildup, where we discuss your success, fulfillment, and balance. I'm your host Jawad. I'm here with Hassan, who's not here with me in physical.
This is the
He's in
first time,
Texas.
right? This,
Yeah,
this, the, this is the first time. Yeah.
yeah. First time we're doing this. So basically, Hassan's at Texas. Actually, I'm here in New York, but we're using a software to still the show must go on, guys. So um,
Consistency, right? That's
Yeah,
important.
absolutely. I think we covered that on the first episode.
That's
So,
true.
we can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk, right?
That's right.
So, so guys, we got a very good episode for you today. We're discussing, how do you actually forgive someone? We all have that one person, whether it's a friend, family member, coworker, and they did something to us, and it really, really hurt us.
Right.
And right now, we hold a grudge against them, and we're not gonna forgive them. So, how do you actually go about, forgiving that one person? So, I'm gonna share the show a little bit. In the meantime, Hassan.
What's up? Howdy, guys. Howdy from Texas. So actually, I'm in Houston right now. I was in Dallas yesterday. I had to do some recording. So I'm here now in Houston visiting families. I'm actually in my niece's room, as you can see
Yeah, how
all
did the recording go, man?
all the toys. It was good. It was good. It's a top secret, so we can't talk about it. What exactly we recorded.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
but you guys will get to know about it soon. So those of you who are joining us, always beautiful to join all of you. Um, if you're here, share the show and press like. Join our live build-up page, and the more you share, the more we hope to be able to impact more people with what we want to share here. This is a show that it's not some kind of BS stories, or it's not a show about telling you guys how great we are. This is a show where we deal with the hard stuff, deal with things that we go through in our business, in our families, in our college.
We basically share the
Yeah,
struggles and challenges we go through and explore how we can make the best decisions, okay,
yeah,
as life comes at us.
awesome. So today, obviously, we're talking about um, forgiving others, and I think this is something we all are dealing with. We all have people in our lives that we blacklist.
Hmm.
We all have people in our lives that we don't talk to. Sometimes a lot of times family, even former friends, colleagues, and we avoid any gathering with them, um, and there's something that we all deal with. So I know today's short show is going to be something that's going to really touch home because it's that personal.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. This is I think every single one of us, we can relate to this, somehow,
Right,
because at some point in our lives, okay, we came across somebody who really, really whether it was they realize it or not, they have hurt
right,
us, and it causes a lot of stress in our lives, and it's just not good for us. So,
right.
how do you think somebody should actually go? So, I think those of you guys who are joining us, first of all, thank you. If you can please, I love to hear from you guys. What you guys, how you guys relate to this topic.
Right.
Um, um, and so how do someone actually go about forgiving that one person? What's the first step?
Right. So I think before we even talk about what I call the 5 steps to forgiving people,
Hmm.
I think we need to talk about what exactly are we talking about, and then why in the world should we even forgive?
Hmm.
Is that even important?
Hmm.
So when we talk about forgiving others, what we mean is whether it be in our personal life, whether it be in our professional life, whether it be even that guy that cut us off on or we were driving, whatever. I mean, small to big, day in and day out, there are
Hmm.
people in our lives that have hurt us.
Hmm.
Some people have hurt us in a big way.
Hmm.
Some people have hurt us in not such a big way,
Hmm.
but it has an impact. right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all have people in our lives that have hurt us in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And
What,
sometimes we,
what would you say to somebody like that says that what I don't have any grudge against anybody. There's nobody that right now I'm thinking back, I don't have that. I can't think of anyone. What would you say to that person?
well, I think you're not aware. I mean, I don't want to come off something like something you have to have it, but 99.9% chance that you actually do have someone, but you haven't really thought about it, or
Mm-hmm.
your brain have buried it. A lot of times, studies show that especially traumatic things or things that are not pleasant to us, our brain finds a way to bury it forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way of coping. It helps. It helps with survival. So we don't have to keep on thinking about something that we don't like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all have someone. Now, it's possible that you already have been through that step of forgiving, but 99.9% chance that you're just not aware that there are some
So
people. Yeah,
even if you have someone like maybe you interpret it a little bit wrong. Okay,
yeah,
maybe you did get hurt,
yeah,
but you're just saying that, oh no, he's just my friend. He always jokes around. But like
right.
when he does joke around, it actually does hurt.
Yeah, deep down inside, you do feel not so good. That's
Mm-hmm.
the point.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, uh, so why, the next obvious question would be, why forgive them, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point?
Right.
Yeah, and the most amazing story that I have come across in this discussing forgiveness is about a guy named Sammy Rangel. And I heard
Mm-hmm.
his story. He gave a TEDx talk somewhere. And this guy, Sammy Rangel, basically, he, grew up in a very difficult home. He was abused by his mother. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, his abuse was something else. I mean, to the point that, his mom. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there was broken home. There were a lot of issues.
This is a
His
bad childhood.
Yeah, I mean,
Very
I
extremely
mean,
horrible childhood.
let me tell you what kind of punishment he received. His punishment included that his parents wouldn't let him wear anything, basically fully naked, not even underwear, so that he would have to pee or crap on himself, and they would not obviously not let him go to the bathroom, right?
Damn.
And
Those are messed up parents.
yeah,
Very
and
messed up
then
parents.
he had this uncle that lived with the family, and basically he molested him and made him watch, you know, him molest his sister. I mean, I can't describe to you the amount of craziness he went through, to the point that obviously, with
Mm-hmm.
all that beating and all that abuse, sexual abuse, and he just became angry at the world. He hated
Mm-hmm.
everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and no surprise that by very young age, 7, 10, 13, he was in gang. I think he committed his first murder. Not first murder. I mean, part of the initiation of the gang was to beat up somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
he said that I did not even want to beat up this person, but
Mm-hmm.
I just had to prove myself. And so he beat up someone, and he went through even worse. I mean, by age, I think something like 13, he was a father, meaning
Mm-hmm.
he got someone
Damn.
pregnant, but he lost his kid. Like, basically the kid died.
Uh-huh.
And recently he said that by the time I was a teenager, I lost any empathy for any human beings.
Mm-hmm.
He would just start a fight for the sake of starting fight.
Mm-hmm.
He was in jail, in and out, and in jails he has a horrible name. People would not want him in jail. Like, if he comes to one jail because he starts
Mm-hmm.
a fight and commotion, they transfer him to another jail. So he said,
Mm-hmm.
he's something really funny. He said, how bad do you have to be when basically when society doesn't want you? Where do they put you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where do they put
Put
you?
you in jail.
Right. And he said, look, what do you do when the jails don't even want you?
Damn.
you know so someone that and he actually at
It's
one
like
point.
this is like from childhood. This
Yeah,
person has gone through the worst of the
right,
worst,
right.
and he probably holds a lot of anger towards his mom and dad
I mean,
and uncle.
to the point that I think he wanted to go and murder his mom. Actually, at age 8, it said at age 8, I think he had a knife in his hand. At nighttime, he went to his mom's room, and literally he had a knife in his hand, and he was contemplating. At
Mm-hmm.
8 years old, can you imagine that? Eight. What kind of
Damn.
torture you must have received from this
Mm-hmm.
psychopath mom, to have this. Anyways, my point being to you, why I share the story is that you going through. I'm giving you an extreme case, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of you watching this, maybe you have been through not as horrible, but something traumatic as well. But maybe some people in your life did not give you so much traumatic pain, but they have caused you other kinds of pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, all those pain have an impact. If you think no,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 most people don't want to acknowledge that they got hurt by someone because that makes them feel weak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're like, no, no, I didn't get hurt. No, 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 I moved on. You didn't move on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
or
Because it make because the thing is that, like, when you say that to yourself, it makes you feel like you're weak.
right, right,
And you're like, I'm not that weak. Or if someone
right.
asks you that, like, or right now, as you are watching the show, those of you guys who are watching right now, and also those of you who will be watching on replay, you might think back, who has actually hurt you. And if
Right,
nobody comes to your head, it might be that, even though you have been hurt, you're just not, trying to acknowledge it,
right.
because it shows weakness.
Yeah, and especially people don't want to feel like they got hurt because then they feel like I am that other person is winning and I'm losing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not the case. That's not
Mm-hmm.
the case. And you not being able to forgive, and the way I'm describing forgiveness is very different. It's might as well says at this point. When I say forgiveness, I don't mean that you're gonna forget what happened to you. When
Mm-hmm.
I say forgiveness, it doesn't mean the other person was right and you were wrong. It's not what it
Mm-hmm.
means. When I
Mm-hmm.
say
I think a
forgive,
lot of people,
yeah,
when they
yeah,
think of forgiving, like, that's
yeah,
what might come to their head,
right,
in the sense that, okay, like, no problem. Um,
right,
in the sense that, yeah, like, exactly as you said, like, it's almost like, okay, fine, even if you did it, like, it's okay, you know,
right, right,
um, like, you don't acknowledge that, like, they actually hurt you. You just said, okay, fine,
right,
I'll
right.
just let it go.
Right, right. And when you forgive, it's not even about you going and telling them, "Hey, listen, man, I forgive you."
Mm-hmm.
That's not even the forgiveness I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a different kind of forgiveness. You know, uh,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm not
I,
even
I think
saying
that
that.
makes it. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm guessing. I'm guessing what you're talking about is that actually, especially inside yourself. Like, have you actually forgiven this
exactly.
person?
I'm
Right.
talking about internal forgiveness and an internal, recovery. Like that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about more. So it's not about you telling the person, "Hey, man, I forgive you," or even like forgetting the lesson that you learned,
Mm-hmm.
or that you should not have any more feelings afterwards about it,
Mm-hmm.
or that you're going to excuse what the person did. That's not what we're talking about here.
Or, like,
You know?
you're gonna go back to being friends with him and, like, make sure
Yeah,
make it seem like everything is fine.
not necessarily. Not
Yeah,
necessarily.
you're not doing
Here,
that.
here we're talking about forgiveness where you're internally acknowledging, recovering, and moving forward. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why let's get right into it. The first step is
Mm-hmm.
called honesty.
Right. Absolutely. So first step is honesty. So
Right.
by honesty, really, like, what we've been talking about is to realize and acknowledge the fact that, you have actually been, wronged. You have been hurt by this one person.
Right.
You know.
And that is okay to say that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's some people don't want to feel things,
Mm-hmm.
but realize that
Yeah, man. In
you're
life, like,
yeah,
that would make you a robot. If,
right, right,
people said things to you, and you're like, yeah, I don't have any feelings.
right,
You have feelings. You have emotions. When
right,
somebody does something that's messed up, it's gonna
right,
hurt.
right, right,
And it's okay for you to acknowledge that, this person did hurt me.
right, right,
And that's the first step, to,
right,
actually forgiving this person and move on, and not let the all the stress and the grudge, like, hold you back.
right. um so and because what happens when you are holding on to things and you might not even know it, you know
Mm-hmm.
uh like I want you to think about this as an iceberg. I don't know in your fancy software, Joel, you can draw an iceberg, or you can draw it or something or not, but I want you to imagine like an iceberg. And in an iceberg, the top part is very little. You don't really see it, right? The top part is like
Uh-huh.
it's small, and the bottom, the actual mountain of ice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Titanic, right? It got stuck that way, right? Because on
Right.
top
Right.
you only see like a little bit, like hill, whatever. But the real iceberg, the entire ice of mountain, is actually below the sea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is unconsciously inside you, all the people that hurt you, which you haven't dealt with. You just moved on, covered it up, and said, "Look, forget it." That is still inside you, and that kicks in when you're stressed out. That kicks in when you're dealing with the next person.
Mm-hmm.
You might not even realize, but when you're dealing with other people in your life, because of the experiences that you've been through, which you haven't coped with, which you haven't dealt with, it comes back, and you might not even realize it's coming back. You might not realize, like, why am I getting so angry?
So,
Yeah.
like, your friend hurting you, okay, about like,
Right.
making a silly joke about you,
Right.
and you hiding that, it goes
Right.
in the iceberg. And
Yeah.
when you're, let's say you're interacting with your business partner, or interacting
Right.
with your parents, you're
Right.
interacting with, actual, like, another friend,
Right.
those feelings are gonna have an effect, on
Perfect
how you.
example. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's exactly what happens.
So
And
that's one of the. I think that's huge. That's one of the reasons why you shouldn't just, like, hold it back and say that, what, I don't need to worry about this.
right. Right.
Because it's very important that you do address it.
That which is buried alive stays alive.
Hmm.
That which is buried alive stays alive. And studies show, people who hold
That's
our
a very
grudges.
nice quote.
Yeah. you know, I don't know what I heard it, but anyways, your studies show that people who hold grudges, right? I mean,
Mhm.
people have blacklists. Like, people don't go to certain gatherings because of certain people. If they don't get involved in something because of somebody else. I mean, people make their life so constricted because they have
Mhm.
all these things. I mean, and everywhere they go, people don't go to a restaurant because somebody's there. I mean, you think about people's lives are so restricted because they cannot, they're not able to deal with when people do hurt them,
Mhm.
big way or
Mhm.
small way.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think, like, I experienced this in high school, like,
right.
in the sense that, if one of my friends, like, had, like, something happened between, like, two friends,
Hmm.
and, that one friend would see the other friend, okay, at a restaurant, or, like, sitting at the same table. He's like, no, I cannot be around here. I gotta go.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
And this happens to adults too. I mean, family gatherings.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many in business dealings. You lose people, move out of entire business industry because they don't like someone in the industry. All sorts of things. And
Seriously,
study,
you saw something like that?
yeah. I mean, and
That's
it's
crazy.
pretty intense because
Uh-huh.
people's relationships are quite important. And then studies show that people who hold a lot of grudges and they have all these blacklists and so forth, they live shorter lives. Because you
Mhm.
think about it, you're constantly actually stressed because
Mhm.
inside you there are all this like pain and frustration and anger. And Sammy Rangel is a clear example, right? Think about it. What did
Mhm.
his pain and the fact that people have hurt him, especially his mother has hurt him. What did that lead to? That lead to
Mhm.
him being a criminal,
Right.
in the more horrible way possible. He was basically hurting, other people like his mother was hurting him.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know. Now that's a very drastic example, but we're doing that in many ways, to be honest. Like
Mhm.
we all are like Samirango in our own little ways.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, maybe, like, the way that the person hurt us is not the
Right.
same way.
Right.
Like, our mother didn't leave us, on feces,
Right. Right. Right.
like him.
Right.
But, like, there are people, like, who have hurt us, and just
Right.
like, he hurt other people, in
Right.
almost like a retaliation, kind of
Right.
projecting the hurt that he got into other
Right.
people. We take that, and we project it into, like, our relationships that we have with other people.
Right. So those of you who are joining just now, we're at the just middle of talking about our discussion for tonight. We're talking about forgiving other people, and we just on step one of our 5-step process. So we spoke about why forgive. What exactly in the world are we talking about? And by the way, if you notice, we are in 2 different states and 2 different time zone actually, but the show must go on, and we're
That's
glad
right.
that you can join us. So let's get right into it. Our second step. So once you can have that, I call it honesty, right? So once
Uh-huh.
you have that full honesty that what, I did feel hurt, I did get hurt, and it did impact me in some way, and acknowledge that
Mhm.
pain. And then number two is humility,
Right.
right? So number one is honesty, and the number two is humility.
What do
So
you mean by humility?
good, that's a good point. So humility, what I mean by that is knowing that you are not a perfect human being.
Mhm.
Nobody is,
Mhm.
right? So this is step two, by the way. So it's the knowing that you are not a perfect human being,
Mhm.
meaning that you and me have also hurt people in our lives.
Right.
So you would have also wanted forgiveness at some point,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We all have hurt people in our lives, and I'm not perfect as a human being.
Just realizing your own mistakes,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think like we spoke about this thing before we had this episode, and
right,
like just this one thing helped me so much in my own life.
right,
Like whenever I would get not even like somebody hurting me, like
right,
somebody who had hurt me for a long time. It's
right,
about just like on a day-to-day basis when somebody like does something that that I don't like, or somebody does
right.
something that it's kind of a little bit mean to me or insulting to me.
Mm,
Just remembering that what, I have my own mistakes. I have my own
right,
faults.
right,
Even though I know the right thing to do, I still make those mistakes. you
right,
know
right.
so having that definitely like helps you out.
Yeah, I mean, so once you can introspect in yourself, I mean, some people, constantly complain about people. Like you sit next to them and they constantly, this person is this person is not trustable, this person is that person is this. I mean, like, I'm like, then
I'm like,
who's
bro, like, what
perfect?
about you?
Right? Like as so do some self introspection and look at yourself and say, you know what, damn, I'm not that perfect either. I got a lot of flaws. So I think, and there are people that I wish they forgive me, you know. And so then that will help you get to the third step.
Before we go to the third step, by
Yeah,
the way, guys, those of you who are joining us, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this topic.
yeah. Because because some people do get quite passionate about this topic, because they have had actual issues, and when we talk about this topic, it really triggers something in them. Whenever I have talked about this topic, even with my people that I coached, or my patients, or even at talks, right, I've seen that people get very possessive over this topic. Like, why do I have to forgive? And now I know why that's the case, because they feel like, which we covered in the beginning of the show today, that they feel like if they forgive, that they lost. As long as they can hold a grudge, as long as they can hold on to the pain, that means they are still on top. Like, this person has hurt me, this person has humiliated me, and I'm holding on to my pain, I'm holding on to how much I think he's a horrible human being. As long as I can hold that in my heart, then I'm a
That means
better
out.
person. I'm
Right.
still winning. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, guys.
yeah.
So if you guys have anyhow you can relate to this topic, please put in the comments, like your thoughts. Love to have like like interaction with you guys. So yeah, and so but moving on to the third topic, on to forgiving someone. So
Yeah.
after we acknowledge that this person have hurt us,
Honesty, right? Mm-hmm.
yeah, honesty. Number two is having the humility and thinking that we have our own faults. We
Right.
mess up.
Right.
We have our own shortcomings.
Right.
What was the third step?
Third step is mercy. Mercy means, like, look, once you have the humility, once you realize, like, look, we're all human beings. Every single person that you deal with in your lives, personal life, professional life, they're all people, man. Like, they're all human beings. I mean, they all had parents. They all had lives, aspirations. Nobody is pure evil. Like, you gotta get that out of your head. Like, nobody's actually pure evil. People do evil things, and they get so used to evil things that they become, almost like as if they're pure evil. But no one is pure evil. So then you'll be able to have that mercy. You just gotta have mercy for human beings, like
For their shortcomings.
yeah,
just like you expect it. Whenever you mess up, you expect other person to like overlook it and to forgive you. Just like that, you got to be able to do the same thing to other people, because everybody's trying to do what is best for themselves, what is best for their families, and their shortcomings. There are human beings are capable of like good and evil, and a lot of the times the evil takes over, the evil side of us takes over, and that makes us make the bad decisions that we do.
Right.
And whenever that does happen, you have to be able to like cut people some slack. You have to be able to have mercy for people. So what are some benefits of actually having that mercy?
It makes you, it goes back to why forgive to begin with, right? And is that fact that when you forgive, you're able to move on with your life. And it's because when you don't forgive, it actually affects you. They say that hurt and anger, frustration is actually shackles that you put on yourself. Literally, you actually, it's a shackle that holds you back.
Right.
Look at someone else; it actually holds you back. So, and affects you, affects your mood, affects how you relate to other people in your life. If you're not able to forgive, if you hold on to grudges, it's affecting you and how you are in your relationships in the future.
Yeah.
So do this for you.
And
Not someone else.
I think like, to take it even one step further, like, there's a famous saying, like, pretty much in every, worldview, that if you, expect people to forgive you, forgive other people, also,
Right.
or if you expect others to forgive you, if you expect God to forgive you even,
Right. Right.
forgive other people.
Right. Yeah. 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 And every faith in the world has this kind of teachings, and because it makes sense. It's not one of those feel good statements. Like, it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
true. Like,
yeah.
this is actually true. So you got to be able to forgive people and have that mercy and humility. Like,
Yeah,
realize,
yeah.
like, look, you're not perfect, and if people, just imagine this, if people treated you, if everyone treated everyone else like the way you're trying to treat this other person, how would the world be? So having that mercy, once you have that honesty, once you have that that humility, you got to have that mercy for people.
Yeah. And the next step is, guys, after you have, like, acknowledged that, this person has hurt you, after you have, like, seen that, you have your own mistakes, and, you have to be merciful to that person, because, everybody makes mistakes, is you forgive them because of your generosity.
Right.
You're not forgiving them, you're not overlooking it, saying that, it's okay, that they hurt me, I'm gonna let it go. You're doing it out of your own mercy and generosity.
Right, right. And again, I want to repeat what I said in the beginning of the show, because I think it's so critical, because I think a lot of time when we talk about this topic, people thinking, oh, here we go again, be a nice person, forgive. Why do I have to do it? Other person not doing it. I'm telling you, forgiving, what we're talking about here, is not about excusing the other person. It's not about telling them that you forgive them. It's not about that you shouldn't have any feelings about it. It's not about forgetting the lesson you learned. That's not the point here. The point here is dealing with it, being honest about it, and then from your heart, that generosity. From your heart,
It's internal. It's not like, just telling somebody that I forgive you.
Right,
That's
right.
that's not what we're talking about, because, like, even if you say that, you could still be hurt inside, and you
Right.
still, like, so that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, like, really
Like,
inside.
if you're expecting apology, then you got the whole thing wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Then you missed the whole point of our last 20 minutes, or what we've been talking about. If you're still expecting apology, because you will forgive, that's why I'm calling it generosity. Why is step number 5 generosity? Because if it was look, if someone apologizes, then you forgive, then it's not being generous. Then you're being just, right? Think about it. This is a good, very good concept. If someone apologizes to you, and then you forgive them, that would be that you being a just. Like, they asked for forgiveness, so you gave it. Generosity means that they don't deserve it. That's what generosity, like, they don't actually deserve it, and you don't have to do it, but you're gonna still do it. So they don't deserve it, and you don't have to do it. Meaning they are wrong. They're the one who caused you pain, and you're acknowledging it.
You're giving a donation, like, literally, you're giving a donation.
Yeah.
You're
giving a donation of forgiveness for you, so that it can help you move forward, and you can cope with it, and you can live your life,
Right.
and have longer life, because people who hold grudges, studies show that they live shorter lives because of the stress they live under. And obviously, the example of Sam Rangel literally made him a criminal.
What happened to him, by the way, like, later on in his life?
Well, it's very, very interesting story. I mean, those of you who are watching this, you can check out his TED Talk. I don't want to speak for him, but Samir Rangel, you could check it out. It's one of his TEDx talks about forgiveness. Fascinating. But what happens to him is that he ends up being in a program and in jail, and he had some kind of counselor in jail, who one time had him sit down and really open up and talk about how his mother and what she had done, and at first he wasn't.
All the horrible things.
Yeah, at first he said that I've never thought about this in my life. I didn't want to talk about this. I don't know why this guy was even forcing me to talk about this, but he wanted to get out of the program, so he said, I know, might as well participate in this treatment. So he ended up opening up about his mom. He said, I haven't talked about her. I haven't thought about her for years. you know. He said, I
Mm-hmm.
opened up. He said, I started tear up. I didn't realize I had so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
And, after he shared everything that he shared, then he said, the counselor told me, okay, if your mom was here today
Mm-hmm.
and everything that you said that she has done to you, if she
Mm-hmm.
was here today, what would you ask her? What would you say?
Right.
And, he said, after thinking about it, I said, why? Why'd you
Mm-hmm.
do it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, then the counselor asked me to do something that it didn't even come to my mind. He told me to get up, take that seat. And I
Mm-hmm.
want you to imagine that you're your mom. Respond. He
Mm-hmm.
said, I sat down in my seat and I thought about what my mom would say. He said, I couldn't think of anything else except, I'm sorry. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And, just that whole him
But like
really,
he put himself in like his mom's shoes,
yeah, yeah.
and she would be like yeah,
And
that's
what
powerful.
what like what made her do it? She could have had, she could
So
have,
many different excuses, so many different reasons.
yeah, so many reasons. I mean, what she been through, what was going in her mind, and it doesn't excuse her action. What
Mm-hmm.
she did was wrong. What she did was even criminal, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But that made Samir Engel move forward, and now he's actually out of jail, giving a TEDx talk, helping other inmates. He's actually a counselor for inmates in jails now.
So he turned it around.
Yeah, he's actually
That's amazing.
he's actually a mental health professional.
I see. I see.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But
Uh-huh.
that's the power. That's the
Mm-hmm.
power of being able to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
No, that's amazing,
um,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, and guys, like those of you guys who want to check it out, like so what's his name one more time?
Sammy Rangel.
Sammy Rangel. So just look him up on YouTube. I'm sure the TEDx talk will come up. You
Yeah,
can check it out. So bro, my battery's running low, so we gotta
right.
we gotta let's finish up. So to recap the show, guys, the 5 steps when it comes to forgiving someone is: number one, you have to be honest that someone did hurt you, and don't hide it. Whatever that one person, if there's a friend, coworker, family member, they have actually hurt you. Acknowledge that. Number two is have humility and know that we're all human beings and we all make mistakes. Even me, okay, even Hassan, even everybody that's watching the show right now, and every single person
You have
has
you
has
have
has made mistakes,
and you have hurt someone too.
and you have hurt someone too. Okay, and third, I believe it's having mercy.
Right.
We have to have mercy with each other. You
Yeah.
know, every single one of us makes a mistake, and you gotta be able to cut people some slack, man.
Yeah.
If you expect people to be perfect, nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. You made
You're
plenty of
gonna live.
mistakes.
You're gonna live in a frustrated world if you think that's the case.
Yeah, you
Right.
got to be able to cut slack people because they messed up one time. Okay, doesn't mean that they're gonna mess up again. So and even if they did mess up, okay, give them chances. Over and over again for them to improve. Just like
Right.
you expect the same from your loved ones. From people that expects things from you.
Right.
So give them chances.
And
Um,
that's why number 5 is generosity, because you're actually giving them something they
Number
don't
4,
deserve.
I
Oh,
think
sorry.
we have a fifth
No, no,
step.
yeah, we do a fifth step. Yeah. So now
Yeah.
4 is generosity. Is because it's not that you're expecting apology. It's not that they were right. They were actually wrong. You did it hurt. Did it hurt you? And you're doing it because they don't deserve it. You're forgiving them because they don't deserve it. You heard me right.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
forgiving them because they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
And that
Because
leaves
if it's an apology, then it becomes like like they have to give you something in
right.
order for you to forgive them,
Give,
and that's
exactly.
not necessarily true.
Right.
You know. And
And
again, like you're doing this for your own internal peace inside.
yes,
You know.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's why number 5 is called trust. Trust means that, look, just you're recovering from this, you're giving the generosity of forgiveness, doesn't mean you're gonna go back with the business with them. If they got you into trouble in your business, if they sidestepped you in your business, you don't have to go back into business with them. That's not the point. But don't leave the whole industry. It doesn't mean that you have to get back and be
I think especially maybe like for relationships.
for example,
Lo-
like it doesn't mean you have to remarry them, but it doesn't mean don't be afraid of marriage again.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, or like, hate the entire gender.
World. Yeah, yeah.
Hate the entire gender of, like, as a man or women,
Right,
depending
right.
on who you are.
And this is pretty serious. I have patients. It's people that I work with, females, that were sexually harassed, or some even, sexually assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
And how do they forgive? And again, forgive not meaning that they excuse the person's behavior, or that they said I don't have any feelings for it, or that they don't have any lessons that they move forward with. No,
Mm-hmm.
but that they can still continue to live in the world and expect good from people and realize that there are good people in the world.
Right, right. Yeah. All right. Um, I just took off my headphones to
Okay.
plug in my charger. I
Okay.
hope the
Alrighty.
audio is still, like, kind of good.
All right.
So
So
yeah,
let's.
man. I
Those
think
of
we can.
you, who joined us, really happy and excited as always that we can keep the show going, even though we're in two different state, two different time zone. But we're glad to be with you tonight. And again, we hope you can make us part of your life in every Monday at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, guys. Like, we're gonna be doing this for a long term. Our hope. I think so far we had 8 episodes. This
eight
is the
episode,
ninth.
yeah.
So our hope is that, like, keep the show going for years to come, and we really hope that you guys can stick with us. Give us feedback, give us your comments and thoughts. Different ideas that you want us to implement, topics that you want us to cover on the show. I love to hear from you guys.
And we want to
Hoping.
grow together. We are going to grow together.
Yeah. So, guys, we'll end it off here. Thank you again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Any any
See.
any comments or anything that you want to address, Joel?
Let's see. Uh, Jamil said, commitment. The show's still going while you're traveling. And also, Snyder Begum said, great teachings, brother. So yeah, I mean, it's going good.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, if you appreciate it, really, please do us a favor and share the show. It really, really helps us out. Get our message to more people. Really appreciate
Right.
it. Okay. All right.
Alrighty.
We'll end up the show here. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please join us again next week. We're going to be going live 10 p.m. from Hassan's page. Eventually, we're going to be moving the show to our Life Buildup page.
Yes.
Please, join that page. I'm going to be putting it in the description. Also, if you can search it up on Facebook, it'll also come up.
Right.
So
and please, if you're here, share the video. We want to be able to have impact and make some impact in any meaningful way in people's lives. And you by sharing, you help us do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you become part of the people that are making this impact happen.
Yeah. All right, guys. If you shared it, thank you so much. Until next time, I'll see you guys next Monday at 10 p.m. Thank you for joining us.
Alrighty. Good night from Houston, Texas.
Good night from New York. All right.